All right, we're now going to be heading over to the EcoSpark Challenge area where the schools are going to be making their presentation. Now, the EcoSpark Innovation Challenge highlights climate solutions from high schools across Jamaica. It is held in partnership with the Jamaica Urban Solutions for the Environment JUS project, managed by the Environmental Foundation of Jamaica, the EFJ, and their Solutions Challenge. There are two categories this afternoon: nature-based solutions and grid resilience innovation. Both categories promote climate awareness, innovation, and entrepreneurship in schools. The judges are very busy, like them a write dissertation for another PhD. But me over here, I may give them whole heap of time because from 9 minutes ago, I ball out them name and everybody a wave me off like bad mind. But now me come over here, everybody busy, all right? Like them just get noticed, say them a judge. But me there. All right. The judges this afternoon are Nicole Adamson. Nicole, wave your hand like in a soca fit. All right, nice. You see how I don't forget to get the brown in them for wave them on? Just say soca. It work every time. Reniqua Walker McKnight. All right. And Carol Narcisse. All right, they are from the Environmental Foundation of Jamaica. We have Ronaldo Hay, who look like when them have 5K, when everybody else start, them say, and the first person crossing the line on the 9 minutes is. All right, from the SRC, the Scientific Research Council, Ronaldo Hay. We have representing JPS, Tony and Gray. Tony and Ramar Taylor. Ramar. Mr. Ramar Taylor, where are you? All right, he'll be here shortly. Still enjoying lunch. All right. Now, there are several schools that are in the competition, and we will be starting with the grid resilience category. The first school in this category is Old Harbor High. Old Harbor High, where are you? All right, give them a big round of applause. Now, Old Harbor High has focused on Grid Guard JA. I am going to allow the lead for the team to tell us a little bit about this project.
All right, my name is Darnell Hamilton, and I am the Chief Engineer of Old Harbor High Robotics Energy and Robotics Club. And today we'll be presenting on our app, Grid Resilience. So, Grid Resilience is basically an app that allows you to report outages of power within your community. So, as you can see, this is a demo of the app itself. So you have a home screen which shows a map of Jamaica and highlights areas that are affected by power outages. This little dot right here, that's actually a power station in Jamaica. And if you go over into the communication tabs, there's 3 main tabs in here. You have the mesh system, which allows you to communicate with your neighbors while you have Wi-Fi. So before a hurricane, like say Melissa, you know your neighbor roof isn't really that strong, and you don't want to shame them. So you just say, you know, you can come over throughout the hurricane and stay. But if you don't have any Wi-Fi or anything like that, you can use the SMS system to contact them without the use of it. And for our resources, let's say you have a generator and you're willing to share. You can add it into here, and your neighbors will be able to see, say, you have a generator, you have fresh water, you have enough food, and you are willing to share with them. Then we have our report section. Say you call your friend straight, and you realize they don't have any power, and they don't have the app, you're actually able to manually enter where the power outage is. Or, for your area now, you can click right here, and it will automatically report the outage within your community. Right here are 3 areas that was affected by a power outage. You have Kingston, you have Moby, and you also have Old Harbor. But Old Harbor power was restored. Like any other app, you have your account tab. So this is where your name is, your phone number, which is what your neighbors will be able to contact you on, and your location is automatically taken by the app. So as you move along, your reports will still be up to date. you're able to add your resources here same as before, but this one is a little bit different. Let's say you didn't want every single one to know the resources you have 2, 3 months before the hurricane. You can put the resources right here, and when the hurricane comes, you just click the button and it will share it. It will become public knowledge with everyone else. But also on the home screen, if you want to report an outage without having to go all the way there, you can just click and he'll report it automatically. So that is GridGuard Jamaica. Thank you very much.
So when you report,
All right, the judge, Ms. Narcisse, your question?
this app is connected to JPS's app.
Yes, miss. So when you report an outage, it will send a notice to the JPS app itself, which will alert them, miss.
And do you foresee people being able to access this app free of cost, or is there a business side to this?
The app can be public in a matter of a week. It can go public, matter of fact, tomorrow if I wanted it to. It would be free to start it off, but as we progress, we can charge a little subscription fee.
Question. So how do you make this app accessible to persons with like the vulnerable population, disabled community? How do you make this app available so they can use it?
So all of Hold Harbor would be promoting the app. So we would be able to reach those remote countries. You also can share the app with a family member. So let's say you have a family member in so they can download it automatically.
One. So this is specific to Old Harbor? No.
It's to the entire Jamaica.
So that you're working with a base GPS mapping of the entire island?
We haven't been able to do that just of yet. That's why we are also here. I wanted to talk to a JPS representative.
Okay.
All right, there you heard from Old Harbor. It's all about Grid Guard. All right, Ruslan, I would like you to introduce the next school in this category.
The next school is Roger Clark High. Roger Clark, are you ready? I don't hear nothing coming on down here. This thing tell me so we have a bag of bees down here, so. Yeah? Solar hive. That means there's some bees down here, no? But I want to hear Roger Clark sounding like you come here to win. No, sir. Sparks, we can move on. I don't think Roger Clark ready.
Roger Clark, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, let's go, let's go.
Okay, all right. So, Roger Clark, your project is entitled Solar Hive. It is among the category of grid resilience. Who is going to tell us about it today? Shavar, here we go.
Lovely good morning, people. All right, this is our solar hive. First off, we have our portable solar panel right here. We made it portable due to the weight of the box. The box is rather heavy, but we plan to shrink it down to a smaller size, but the panel is portable. As such, it came with a cord that you bring the panel outside, you charge it outside, you come back inside, you put it on the top, you plug in it, and you get power, right? It comes with a battery inside, which we'll get to later, but you charge it, and you can have power for basically the whole day. Now, let's move on to outside. This is the perfect part. We have a panel right here, which shows our battery percentage. At the moment, we're at 4 bars, which is at least 80%, right? So you have multiple panels right here, which you can charge as much devices as you want. We have up to 16 panels at the bottom and 2 cables at the side, which plugs in big devices. You can plug in your fridge, your fan, anything you require. All right, so let's turn it on for the people to see. And there you go. Now, my associate here will plug in the fan and demonstrate its power. All right. Oh, thank you. Yes, you can feel the fan. All right, we'll be moving on to the inside of the box. Other than that, we have a pulley right here, which is for portable movement. We have wheels at the bottom, which you can use to drag it around. Now let's move on to the inside. And my associate here will explain the inside for you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Elijah Clark, and today I'll be explaining the setup of this design of the solar hive. So if you could come up closer, please. All right, so in here we'll have the hybrid battery that controls the LED lights that I kind of forgot to turn on. All right, here we go. So as you can see, the LED lights are on. The hybrid battery is what controls everything for the LED itself. The bigger battery now, the car battery itself, is what runs everything from 120 to 5-volt flat. This is 16 USB ports if you plug in your device right here. Hold on. Oh, wrong port. And as you can see, it's currently running.
The light changes, so if you don't have a functional charger, it tells you
Exactly.
functional or not.
Okay, so as you can see, the light will change red if your charger is functional. If your charger has any fault, any damage, the light will not change. It will remain green. Now, inside we have our own battery that my associate here made. It's 13 volts. We can test it and show you just for preferences.
Okay, so while he's testing it, I'll tell you about some of the stuff this solar hive comes with. It comes with a Wi-Fi router, which Wi-Fi will be installed inside of the box, so you don't have to worry about Wi-Fi connections. It can power your school, it power the whole block at hours. You can charge your devices and stuff, and it also can power a whole clinic. Yes, you don't have to worry about power outages. In the future, we like to add a little bit more features like voice recognition and those other stuff. So please invest in our solar hive. I'm asking.
Okay, so my associate here will be testing. As you can see, it is 13.71 volts, exactly as he stated on the box, and we'll be moving on. Oh, it's okay. Okay, so what makes our hive more reliable, more efficient than all the other ones that are on sale right now? Price efficiency. It's recycling. It uses recycled car batteries as its main support, main source of power. As such, you are basically doing better for the environment. It reduces
Noise pollution. It is quiet. It don't make any sound, and it don't contribute to gaseous exchange. It has a cooler at the back, so you don't have to worry about it overheating. If it's running hot, the system shuts down by itself. You don't have to worry about any fire, anything. It also cools right here throughout the ports, so you know he has multiple cooling system.
That is our solar hive. Any questions from the judges?
So this is powered by just those two panels that we're
At
looking
the
at?
moment, yes. We
Uh-huh.
plan to expand and make it bigger and better.
Yes.
But this is just a demonstration of how it will look.
What level of power is being generated from these just two small panels?
All right, so the current electricity that's been generated from this is 25 watts.
Yes.
Enough to run this entire bill that I have here. Is enough to charge the battery. If I was to say in charge mode, it would be at least 2 hours, the least.
Okay.
And the battery
To charge your battery.
Just the charge, and the battery lifespan could be 4 hours. Do keep in mind this is still being tested. So yes.
Okay. And how many hours of storage are you getting from the battery? Yeah. So if the battery is fully charged,
Okay.
And it's now night, so we're not getting any solar energy
Okay.
any longer.
So
would it
due
take me
to-
through the night?
Okay, so due to our limited resources,
Yes.
our battery is only able to run for an hour.
Okay. 5 hours.
5 hours. Sorry.
Okay.
My corrections. Yes, our battery is able to run for 5 hours. It
Okay.
will not take you to the night, but it will help you to where you fall asleep.
Of course. This is very good. Very good.
And also, it does not only charges by the solar, it charges by using current as well. So you can plug it in also if you don't want to use the solar. And the solar is movable. You don't have to move the whole box. You can keep the box inside and put the solar outside and connect it by the wires, and it will charge.
How do you test the recycled car batteries that you get to know? The recycled car battery that you use, how do you test to see if they're good for the equipment that you're using?
Okay, so for that part, we have a tester here where we have just tested. Hold on, I'll be showing you again once more. Could you lend me this? So this battery that I've created at my home before I came here today, it kind of took a while to build. I had to test each and every one of the 16 batteries that are computer batteries, which is lithium. So it stores current more longer than a regular car battery, so you wouldn't have to worry. As you can see, oh, hold on. As you can see here, it's giving 13 volts flat without you have to be worrying about overcharge or anything burning. And I made sure this one is very good, especially when you're charging it, sometimes it can swell and explode. Well, this one has a chip inside of it that instantly stops when it's completely done charge.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Roger Clark High. Sparks, what you say? The future
All right,
looks secure.
that was the grid resilience category.
resilience,
We
yeah.
had two high schools in that category, Old Harbor High School and Roger Clark High School. And we're going to allow the judges to tabulate. I know they have their scores that they need to put in. We're going to allow them like about 2 minutes right now to enter their score because we have around about 5 or so schools next in the next category. Now, the other part of the EcoSpark Challenge is focused on nature-based solutions. And the first school in this category is St. Hilda's Diocesan High. St. Hilda's, where are you? All right, we're moving over to St. Hilda's. And their focus is called Eco-Drain. Eco-Drain. Judges, I'm gonna ask you to come on over to this side. We have more panels, more giveaways later on. And of course, Engage is busy on the ground with their scavenger hunts and their education tunnel and all of that. But we're here right now. And the first school up, as I mentioned earlier, is St. Hilda's Diocesan High. Their focus is on Eco-Drain. Who is the representative? You are. All right.
What if every time it rained, your home, okay? What if every time it rained, your home or school did not get flooded? Instead, the water was filtered, absorbed, and you're protected from flooding. Well, we present to you the Eco-Drain. At the St. Hilda's Diocesan High School, every time it rains, our school corridors are severely flooded. This issue has affected both students and teachers alike and has caused great discomfort and unease. This issue mainly occurs in front of our female teachers' restroom as well as our grade 10 corridor. This is due to improper drainage system and infiltration. And with that, we decided to use our STEM knowledge and create the Eco-Drain.
Eco-Drain works as a solution to the issue at hand because it combines a green roof with pavement and sand. When it rains, water is absorbed by some of the grass. And then the water that is not absorbed by the grass is filtered through a layer of grit, gravel, and charcoal. The grit, gravel, and charcoal will filter out chlorine, volatile organic compounds, and chlorine and bad odors out of the water. The water will then go through a mesh layer that will stop the grit, gravel, and charcoal from following the water into this draining duct. The draining duct will then lead to a tank. This tank will then store the water for later usage. While the roof is the main focus of EcoDrain, the floor also plays a crucial role in keeping our corridors unflooded. The floor is made up of sand and a pavement. The sand has low water retention capabilities, therefore making water easily drained out of the sand. The roof and the floor of EcoDrain will work together to ensure that the corridor stays unflooded.
EcoDrain is made from sustainable materials such as lawn grass and grit gravel. This acts as the first line of defense in lowering heavy rain. This is then followed by charcoal, which acts as a water purification mechanism. Then under this is gravel, which is chosen for its low water retentivity, and also because of its large particles. This structure is then held by zinc and wired mesh, which acts as the roofing of the system. The water is then flows down through a drain, which is made from PVC pipes, and into a nearby storage tank. This is then, if there's any excess runoff, the water is then collected by the ground layer, which is made up of pavement and sand, which acts as a permeable pavement, which absorbs any water.
Let us be honest. We don't want our students to be going to their classes with their shoes flooded with water. This project shows that sustainability and feasibility are both promising, not just for our schools in Jamaica, but also for our communities. Harvesting rainfall can significantly reduce schools' reliance on municipal water supply. It also provides educational opportunities for students on water conservation and management. As this project, when implemented, it will help schools in saving money and reduce infrastructure strain, as the materials that are used in construction are able to last for a long period and require low maintenance, and therefore resulting in the longevity of this product.
Now, what makes our product so unique and different is that it incorporates an internal filtration system. So the water can be recycled and reused for purposes such as flushing the toilet, washing your hands, cleaning. And this is especially important because our school is a boarding facility, so it will definitely reduce the cost of buying water. But it doesn't just stop there. Our design also helps reduce carbon dioxide from going into the atmosphere, so it also contributes to a healthier environment.
And on top of that, it includes green ornamental plants, transforming a basic old drainage system into something functional and visually appealing.
So instead of just removing water, our EcoDrain manages the solution sustainably while enhancing the environment around it. And with that, we give you the EcoDrain.
Judges, do you have any questions?
So just looking at the video of the actual real school with the flooding, is the proposal that the roof would cover an entire walkway? What are we looking at in terms of scale?
Okay, so in terms of scale, that entire corridor there, it will have all the pavers with the sand, so the water, it soaks through, so the issue of flooding is completely gone. And then you will have the roof, the green roof there, that will also have the charcoal layer and the gravel underneath it that helps the water to be purified so it can be recycled and it goes to a nearby storage tank. Yes, miss.
Two independent things.
Okay.
This is doing its thing,
Yes,
and
miss.
that is doing its thing.
Yes, miss.
Got you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any more questions from the judges? All right. You have a question? Okay.
Why did you choose grass as the plant to put on top? Can we use any other plant? Why grass?
Well, we chose grass because it reduces carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and we want to play our part in reducing the emissions of carbon dioxide. It's low maintenance, so it's easy to manage. Yes, it's easy to manage.
No, I was just going to say this is specifically long grass, so it's very low maintenance.
All right, do we have any more questions, judges? All right, that is St. Hilda's Diocesan High. Their project is called Eco Drain. We're moving on to the next school. Ruth Lynn?
Thank you. Sparks, going over to St. Mary Technical High School. St. Mary Technical High School. Ladies, are you ready? I see here the title of their project is Solar Powered Hydroponics and Aquaponics Greenhouse System. Who's the spokesperson today? All right, here we go.
My name is Abigail Dixon.
And my name is Ajeda Duffus.
And we represent St. Mary Technical High School. The project we are presenting today is called Rain to Roots, transforming runoff water into
A sustainable resource. Our school is built on a hillside, so whenever heavy rain falls, a large amount of water runs down into the school compound, causing a waterlog. We had dug a trench to channel this water into our rainwater harvesting pond that we had built on our school through a grant. But this was not effectively channeling the water off the school compound, and most of it was still being lost. And we asked ourselves, how can we change this runoff water flooding issue into a sustainable resource?
So we decided to capture, control, and reuse runoff water through an integrated system. It's a smart aquaponic system. If you follow us over here, you'll see how it actually operates. So the runoff water comes down and it goes through our filtering process. If we win this grant, we would like to integrate a
reverse osmosis system that filters the water so it is clean for our fish in the pond and our animals on the farm. So this, inside our pond, we have tilapia fish. We rear fishes that their feces is rich in nutrients. So this nutrient-rich water is sent to two filtration systems, mechanical filtration and biofiltration. After it goes through this, it goes straight to our greenhouse where our plants captures this nutrient and send it back to our pond. This is a closed loop system, so no water is waste.
Currently at our school, in our greenhouse, we are growing crops in A-frame system. We would like to incorporate vertical hydroponic system to minimize space and maximize production. Also, we have LED lights that will expand daytime at night so our crops grow faster than usual. Our system is also powered by a 11 kilowatt hybrid solar voltaic system, promoting energy efficient and smart climate agriculture. Impacts of our project. It reduces waterlogging on our school compound.
It produces sustainable food for our school and community.
It also promotes renewable energy and smart climate agriculture.
In simpler terms, we are transforming a problem into an opportunity. We are not just wasting rainwater, we are capturing it, cleaning it, and turning it to food. To add to our project, we would like to design an app that will give us live feed notifications of everything that happens within our greenhouse.
At St. Mary Technical, we believe innovation begins where we see solution, where others see problem. Rain to Root is not just a solution, it is a model for climate resilience and also smart schools. We thank you. You can come and look at the fishes if you like.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was St. Mary Technical High School. Let me hear it for them. All right, judges, do you have any questions? Judges? Judges are taken. Judges are not asking.
Yes, I have a question. You said that you had created an earlier solution using drainage and so forth. Does this now fully address the problem of the flooding?
No, it does not. On our school, the trench is still a dirt trench. We would like to reinforce it with concrete, along with adding channels around our school to redirect other waterlogging anywhere else on the school, because our model is just a section of our school.
I have a question to add to that. So, being that you're trying to be more of an environmental steward, for that dugout trench, have you considered doing a bioswale that is more nature-friendly, a nature-based solution?
We weren't aware of it, but now that you have told us, we will take it into consideration.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Sparks. It's time for you to move on. Guess what?
All right.
To my alma mater.
Moving on to the third school in the nature-based solutions category, and we have next Charlemont High School. Charlemont, I can hear you. All right, their initiative is called the Green Oasis Food Forest Initiative. Boy, them have a very nicely scaled project right here. So, all right, who is going to be speaking?
It will be a group presentation, but I'll be starting off the presentation. Okay. This way? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. We're at Charlemont High School, and today I'll be starting off our presentation on the GOFI project. It's a little acronym. It really stands for Green Oasis Food Forest Initiative. And what it basically is, we're not just planting trees. We're redesigning our school to adapt to the climate challenges, right? Imagine sitting in a classroom feeling as if you're in an oven. It's torment. And then immediately stepping outside into flooded walkways. That is two big problems we have at Charlemont. That's what we face daily. So we came up with a solution, GOFI, as I said before. Not just thinking about, the traditional methods such as air conditioning and more concrete drainage, which is honestly expensive, not sustainable, and not scalable for most Jamaican schools, right? So GOFI, as you can see, catchments and stuff like that, but more by the second.
Good afternoon. Our solution was based on three simple and powerful systems that work together. Stop. Food forest. A layered planting that
So I'll just pick up from where he left off. So he's talking about GOFI, which is our Green Oasis Food Forest Initiative. It's an initiative where we aim to tackle the problem of hot classrooms and flooding at our schools through three pillars. The first one being our green garden, our water catchment, and our water storage facility. So this is just our model. So over here we have our green garden, we have our water catchment and water storage facility. So I'm going to explain how all of this works. You want to explain? All right. So I'm going to explain how all of this works in terms of tackling hot classrooms and also flooding on the campus. So firstly, hot classrooms. As you would have said, hot classrooms are not very conducive to learning for students. You sit in a hot classroom, the place is hot, the teacher's teaching, you just can't learn. And that's why we're saying that we are going to tackle this solution of hot classrooms.
And how we plan to tackle it is through our green garden. So you can see we have all of these planting areas. That's somewhat like an orchard with our fruit trees. This has our green garden where we'll plant herbs, ground provisions, you name it, just plants. These plants will help to take the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide being a greenhouse gas, and the accumulation of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, it is going to result in excessive temperatures because carbon dioxide helps to trap heat. The plants are going to reduce carbon dioxide in the atmosphere because they're going to be using the carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. So when they would have taken up all of this carbon dioxide, it creates a cooler learning space or learning environment for all. And when we speak about tackling our issue of flooding now, we would have realized that the main issue for flooding would be because the water has nowhere to go, so it's pooling up on the corridors. So we're saying, all right, we're going to find somewhere where this water can go. So it's no longer pooling on the corridors, but it's actually going somewhere and doing something beneficial. So here is our irrigation system with the rooftops, our water catchment and storage facilities, recycled drums, gutters, and it's going to go all into our green garden and little orchard area over there. So no longer will we have the problem of funding. This is something that is all around beneficial because eventually our green garden here is going to grow, we're going to have produce, and this produce we can sell it to make money to enhance our club activities, or we can use the crops or the produce that would have been grown to help in our schools' breakfast and lunch programs. So it's overall something that's beneficial. Also, to tackle the hot classroom situation, we have outdoor classrooms where students can come outside and learn. Also, this is something that is a learning process for students. So we're not just setting up an experiment, but it's something that students will be actively involved in. So students are going to be the ones that are working in the gardens. They're going to plant the crops, monitor them, see how they're growing, and see how this is actually helping to reduce the the heat inside the classrooms. As you would have said, this is a cheaper solution than using the traditional methods, conditioning units and drainage systems, because those are things that are costly, and we know that not all secondary schools can afford that. Yeah, and I think that's all. Any questions?
Sorry. Can I go again, Miss Marcher, again? 2 seconds? All right. Sorry, my time again. Sorry. All right.
Put the mic up.
Water harvesting. Water is collected from roofs using gutters and stored in catchment areas that are used for irrigating and other agricultural practices like aquaponics and hydroponics. Then we have, that's it.
All right. Judges, do you have questions?
I wanted to see, okay, thank you. I wanted to know, how is this an integrated system? You mentioned that it helps with flood mitigation, but I'm seeing the barrel right here standing alone. I don't see how it connects to the garden that you stated here.
The water is going to flow off the rooftop. We have our little gutter thing right here. It's not really connected. This is just a demo model, but it's going to be connected to our rooftop. It flows into the gutter and from there into our gardens. You see a more integrated system over here where the water is flowing directly into the garden.
Okay. Can I explain these features? What are they?
All right, so this is our green garden.
Got that part. What are these features?
These are other things that we'd have planted in our green garden.
So, okay, so these are food growing beds?
Yes.
Okay, so they're not a flood related feature?
No.
No, okay, all right. So in terms of your flood management, it's mostly a catchment approach that you're using?
Yes,
all right.
And the water being irrigated back into the soil and not on the school.
All right. What do you have in mind as what would pave this area? What would this be?
This would
What would be good as pavement? Gravel. Gravel, you know, it seeps into the soil. It
That's
doesn't
right.
flood.
Well
so
done.
gravel and stone would be good as
Very
pavement.
good. All right.
Just a question on the cooling effect. So I really liked your explanation about how planting of the trees will reduce the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So that gives a general contribution to the whole issue of cooling. But you mentioned the classrooms and the learning environment. So is there a more direct impact on cooling, maybe from your fruit trees or other things?
Or is it that you are creating learning spaces within this little forest? All right, so the question then is, how would this serve to cool your other classroom?
All right, so what we're saying is that we're creating a space where more trees are planted.
Understood.
When we create a cooler environment,
Yes.
it results in a cooler classroom. It's kind of a equal. The first situation is equal to the second situation. We
Okay.
have a cooler environment. If the environment is cool, it also means that the classrooms are going to be cool.
All right. Very good answer. Just so you know, it depends on how close the classroom is to your cooling space.
Yeah,
right?
that's what we're saying. Right
Yes.
here, we're showing you that the classrooms are here
Are
and
just
this is
there.
their cooling
Okay.
space. So they're actually in very close
They're
proximity.
close. All right. Well done.
Thank you.
All right. Any more questions, judges? That will be it. All right. That was Charlemont High School with the Green Oasis Food Forest Initiative. Ruth Lynn, we're moving on over to which school now?
I am in front of the Queen's School. Let me hear it for the Queen's School. You hear all them queenly and royal. All right, the Queen's School, they have a project entitled Bottle and Bloom Eco-Zone Center. Sounds exciting, sounds very stylish, sounds queenly. Who's gonna tell us about it? All of you, let's hear it, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Shalisa Campbell and I'm the president for the Queen School Environmental Club, and these are my teammates, Shania Allen, Talia Seymour, and Timoya Green. So the Queen School is located in an area that experiences frequent rainfall and and a lot of heat from the sun, right? So we realized that this is a problem for students where they aren't able to, they don't have a shelter after school to stay, and especially when there's like frequent rainfalls or the sun, they don't have a proper shelter to stay. So we decided to come up with our Bottles and Bloom Eco-Zone, and the growing need to promote recycling and to promote environmental awareness. We realized that this is a great idea to suggest to our school admin to actually put it in place for students.
Okay, so I'll be explaining the nature-based solution of our model. So we incorporated two, the green roof and the rain garden. Now the green roof is there for the heavy rainfall. When the rain comes, it will help cool down the area inside, right? The excess water will run off the shillings. That's why we built this. It will also help with the wind direction. That's why it's built downwards. Now, the excess water will run down into our rain garden, which surrounds our vicinity, right? We also used mesh for ventilation so that the plants inside, they don't grow any mold, and it can also have air.
My name is Tahilia Seymour, and I will be explaining the materials we use to not only create the actual model, but the virtual model, and if we are granted permission to actually create it, what we would use to make it. So for the prototype, we use poster board, mesh, stones, fudge sticks, and paint. For the digital model, we use the application Roblox, specifically Bloxburg, to create the digital prototype, and that was done by Timoya. And if we are granted permission to actually create the Bottles and Bloom EcoZone, the materials we'll be using will be cement, wooden pallets, plastic, mesh, and what else do I use? That's it.
Okay, so my name is Timoya Green, and I'm the Vice President of the Environmental Club. Now, I'll be talking about food sustainability and food security. Now, you have heard about how the prototype is worked. So now I'll be talking about the food part. So when we use the plastic bottles to create the vegetation and we plant our herbs, anything basically, or fruits or vegetables, now once it's produced, it will go to our canteen so that the ladies can have food. So this now will result into food sustainability and food security. And so it will basically be like in a cycle in a way. So once we produce the food, our school canteen will get it and the students will eat.
Back to Shania. So we want to teach the ladies responsibility and especially how to care for the environment. Hence, we implemented the vertical gardens which you would see on the walls. We also have planters. As stated earlier by Timoya, the planters would grow fruit and vegetables. The girls will learn how to plant their own food. They'll also learn how to take care of plants, and we'd have a roster in place which would help with the water irrigation, right, throughout inside the greenhouse. Do you have any questions?
Queen. Thank you, Queen's High. Restate the Queen's School, and I should know this since it's my alma mater. Restate the problem that you're solving.
Okay, so the main issue is the students at our school, they do not have an area where they can sit down to wait for their parents to pick them up in the afternoon. They normally like to sit at the canteen or sometimes by the first floor block. That doesn't protect them from the rain or the heat when it's, summertime or close to hurricane season. So we're like, we want to create a greenhouse, but a chill spot. Hence the Bottle and Bloom Eco Zone.
All right. So you're creating a space where students can sit, and it will be cooler. It will demonstrate growing edibles and so on. How are you envisioning that structure would be constructed? Is the structure itself bottles, or what is the material that would, if you went from model to actual, what would you be proposing is the material for the building, for the structure?
Okay, are you familiar with the home garden greenhouses? I'm taking inspiration from that to build our actual model.
Okay.
So it'd be plywood for like how we have here, wooden planks to build the structure itself.
Yes.
And with the roof, we'd use a combination of zinc and cement to make the actual thing. As for the vertical bottle gardens, those would actually be bottles.
Right. So your roof is zinc and cement?
Yes.
In your imagination?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
So the cement would be like the base,
Yes.
as I would say, and the zinc, it would be like the shilling so that the water can run off.
All right, understood. Very quickly, Tell me a bit more about the rain garden. How do you understand what is a rain garden?
My understanding of a rain garden is that it helps with collecting the rain, and the part that was usually to make the boxes of the rain garden would be of a material that helps run off the draining so that it doesn't back up and flood. Right? Okay. You're welcome.
So what I used to make the digital prototype would be Roblox, and specifically the application on Roblox I used was Bloxburg. And so there are various tools that are on Bloxburg that you can use to formulate or create the zone. So we had a sketch, so it's like it was a blueprint at first, and so I took that sketch and I created the digital model with it.
Just one question about the long-term maintenance of it. You mentioned that you have a plan to put a roster in place for about 3 months. What's the plan for beyond that? What's the plan for after the 3-month roster has expired?
Okay, so it would be student maintained. Currently at the Queen's School, we have a
Hold up the mic.
Sorry. Hello. Hi. Currently at the Queen's School, we have a system called the bottle system. It's to help collect plastic bottles around the campus. So we have bins at designated areas in the school. And every week, we have at least one. Every 2 weeks, we have a team go in, check the different areas, empty the bags with the bottles, and put them by the bin for pickup from the organization. Yes. Same.
So after the roster, the 3 months period has expired, we would use the same personnel who go around and collect the bottles, and we would pick designated times that they would do it. So it's different from them collecting the bottle and also maintaining the zone.
All right, you heard from the Queen's School. Their project is called Bottle and Bloom Eco Zone Center. All right, the final school in this category is St. George's College, and their project is a rain garden with a miniature sponge city. Who is going to be speaking?
We will all be speaking.
All right, let's go.
Hello, everyone. This is the St. George's College Environmental Club. You can find us on Instagram at STGC Environmental Club. I am Eze Thomas.
I'm Russell William.
I'm Jeremiah Shim.
And I'm Javon Hamilton.
So, let's begin. St. George's College has a problem of recurring flooding and a 4 degrees Celsius increase to the climate over the past 10 decades. Now, where the flooding exists is going to be shown on it. So, the flooding exists at the O'Hare building, our 5th form block, and our 3rd form block, and right at the St. Ignatius fountain in the center of St. George's College. And through this, we decided we want to tackle this issue through creating a design or proposal to combat the water flooding and the heat by not disturbing the ecosystems that are there pre-existed. So we had thought of nature-based solutions. We've heard it by everybody around here, but they've been using the terminology nature-based solution. But what exactly is a nature-based solution? Nature-based solutions are projects, initiatives, actions, or anything that maintains, sustainably manages, restores ecosystems, and prevents societal climate challenges hurting the environment and ecosystem further. And so we came up with a design called the EcoFlow Grove, or as...
So, the EcoFlow Grove, this is it. The EcoFlow Grove. So this is our nature-based solution to combat surface flooding. And pretty much how it works, it captures runoff water, it stores runoff water, and it releases it slowly over time, where it can be used and channeled into proper water channeling systems, or more efficiently and more reusably, it can be put into irrigation systems. such as ones at St. George's that we have. The first two key features that it possesses is an elevated zone and a depressed zone. So our elevated zone caters to our dry season plants, such as hibiscuses, heliconias, and our depressed zone right here caters to our wet season plants, such as our lilies and other such plants that can take the water when it rains. So utilizing this gradient from the elevated to the depressed zone, we're able to efficiently absorb water into the soil layer, which is our first layer at the top. Then the water is brought down to our non-woven geotextile fabric, which acts as a filtration layer to keep water out of our aquifer system, our gravel layer, which acts as a miniature aquifer to store the water. So once this gravel layer is full, the water seeps down into our sand layer for moisture control and is released slowly into the systems, as we said, either better infrastructure, outside the system, or into irrigation. And of course, at the bottom, we have our basal layer, which is our impermeable membrane to keep water from getting in and from seeping out, to make sure that there's no erosion and to keep the system as closed and as efficient as possible. So the design of the system benefits greatly to regulating temperature and operating in both the wet and dry season, and of course, helping and improving water management at our school and beyond. So I went through the layers briefly a while ago, but I just want to come back to the main purposes of the layers. So again, runoff water comes from our existing infrastructure or heavy rains. It is infiltrated into the soil, it is absorbed and stored by our aquifer layer, and then it is re-released through our pipes and out the system where it can be used otherwise. I'll be moving on next.
As Russell just went through, how the EcoGrove will work is during our O'Hare building, when it gets heavy rains, the gutter will carry it downwards towards the grove, and where the elevated part, water will go through the runoff into the depressed zone, and where both areas will experience water going through the soil into the filter, where larger substances and materials are left back. Water will make it through the filter into gravel layer, where it will be stored, and then further flow down to the fine sand, where there will be opening where, such as in the model right here, there's an opening here where the water can kind of flow outwards, while the plants themselves can use the water and transpire over time, slowly releasing the water and prevent flooding from remaining and staying over time, and making the water management more efficient overall. But you guys may be wondering, while this may be a good plan, many others want to know the type of cost and the management required to actually fulfill this.
This requires ongoing maintenance, so ongoing watering, ongoing planting, putting more plants in it, etc. for that. Moreover, it's vulnerable to natural disasters. As you know, we're situated in the Caribbean, which are more prone to natural disasters. So this is a limitation for our model, because it would completely uproot the system that we have. Next, children are very handsy, and they might be able to destroy our EcoFlow growth that we have going on here. So that's also a possible limitation that we have. Next. Here's the logistics. So these are the values for about per meter squared, right? So these are the basal values that we have, but obviously these prices will go up as we expand the area more. So as you can see on the slide, go back. So we have the prices for excavation and site preparation, prices for the base materials like the clay liner we have at the bottom, the impermeable surface. We also have soil and compost mixture, the geotextile fabric that we're using, vegetation, irrigation components, aesthetic and structural additions, labor and installation, and obviously the contingency price in case there's anything more that we need to add, etc. So that would be the logistics for our project.
All right, to summarize everything as a whole, we have made a seasonally rotating rain garden integrated within a miniature sponge city. And that is a lot of scientific jargon, right? However, basically it is just a rain garden with two sides, one with a summer season plant and one with the rainy season plants. The soil is composed of a sponge city, as the Asians have coined it, and that is just a layer system that provides anti-flooding and growth for plants. In this soil system, we have this normal compost and loam, non-woven geotextile fabric, which is a filtration of large particles because we don't want saturation, because if saturation exists right here, rainwater goes back up, and that is something we do not want. After which, we have our gravel layer. Our gravel layer acts as mini aquifers, and mini aquifers by combining coarse gravel and fine gravel, creating water pockets which the summer season plants during the summer with their long roots, and they are native to Jamaica as well, are able to gain water through capillary action, and this will cool the environment during the summer season through evapotranspiration. After which, we have the fine sand layer, which is porous and allows for a slow release of water out of the system. And the final layer will be the impermeable layer. The impermeable layer, it will be normally bentonite clay or bedrock. And in this case, we use plastic, styrofoam, to ensure that we can replicate the water to an extent, the impermeability to an extent. We talked about the community impact. The community impact is that it provides aesthetic, is anti-flooding, reduces mosquito growth, because at St. George's College, the water will settle for days on end. And to further extend on this, we talked about some problems that may occur, such as high human traffic, excavation time, money, cost, of course. And to finalize everything, it is something that is actually able to be integrated and is able to benefit many communities around our nation and maybe the world.
And to finally recontextualize everything, we had made, our brilliant designer here, made a design on Roblox, which is accessible to everyone. You can see this is a one-to-one depiction of our school area. So here you can see entering the school. This is the fourth form building that's prone to flooding. As you can see, it becomes waterlogged and pluvial flooding occurs. So this is flooding. As you can see, it's very bad. As my teammate said, it might breed mosquitoes. Very terrible for the school community. But after we have implemented our EcoFlow Grove now, which mitigates these effects, you can see that not only does the flooding is reduced drastically, but it also adds aesthetic improvement, and it also teaches children about the importance of natural processes in our environment. That is our presentation on the EcoFlow Grove. Thank you.
All right, you heard from St. George's College. They are the final school in this category. And judges, do you have any questions?
Thank you. My question is, what would be the conveyance to the rain garden? Since it's sloped, what would be the conveyance? What would let the water go into the rain garden? I don't see that depicted.
Slide. Back to the slide.
So, okay, so as mentioned before, this is a seasonal rain garden, so our main source of conveyance is rain, especially during storm seasons. Another thing that is integral to this rain garden functioning, especially at St. George's, is the gutters. So our current system is these tall gutters. They come out of the buildings straight from the top of the second story, and they pour down onto the ground below. So they have a high impact, lots of water coming out. So these are high volume areas that release water regularly. So these are our main water capture points. And this is exactly why the O'Hare building, or in front of our 5th and 4th room block, is the ideal place to site the EcoFlow Grove.
So just to be clear, the existing space has gutters that empty onto it. Is that correct?
Yes, it is correct.
Okay. All right. And what's happening at ground level? Is there... Okay, so here's why we're asking this question. Rain gardens often are parallel to a roadway or some other driveway that floods, and it diverts that water and does its thing. So that's the question you're being asked. So your source of water is not so much at the ground level, is that correct? You're not diverting flooding at the ground level. You're capturing from your gutter, from your roof. Is that correct?
Essentially, yes. But at the same time, the area that we've chosen is a neighboring to a road, so it's a dual function pretty much. It aids in the existing system in addition to keeping water off the road, because per our slide, we do have some images of the direct road. So the road is directly adjacent to our site, and that is why it was chosen as the main target area, because of this proximity to the road and because of how much area it affects.
All right, to actually give a context of the situation, at the fourth form block, there is gutters that run from the road which floods into the garden. Yes. And to further fix what my colleague has said, the gutter system does not pour into there really. It is something we would have to change. Yes.
Okay.
And additionally, for areas that would not have the gutter system, such as the fountain or even in front of our biology lab, that is why we have the fountain also has a system that will pour water back into the environment. So even if during the dry seasons, they are getting watered as well. So the water will normally just overflow into the place.
And this is where
This is the area affected.
Okay. Okay. And that's water coming down the road, the driveway. Gotcha. Okay.
Also, I wanted to add on that the water that will be drained from here can also be used by the school for agricultural purposes because as it goes through each layer, it's also absorbing nutrients and minerals. Since in the original diagram, can you go back?
So do you have a circular system? Does this feed into something else?
The farm, that is what we're trying to get into.
Okay.
And I wanted to add on to that we have runoff absorbers at the end, which would be sacks of fertilizer or drained fertilizer, and then we have it that the water that passes through goes down and reaches it. So like phosphates and nitrates can be absorbed by the fertilizers and then used back into our school farm.
So the design includes taking your filtered water over to somewhere where you're growing. Okay.
I was given a few suggestions while we were here, such as using EC meters to figure out what to do with it. Also, I remember last year by the St. Immaculate Conception High School, they had a condometric method of finding out what minerals were inside soil. And we can use that in collaboration with this to figure out what we really need to use and what we need to add so we can have a sustainable and diverse ecosystem.
Last question.
Yes. Thank you.
So a lot of the claims we make about these kinds of solutions have to be backed by some data. So is there an element of the project in which you're identifying volume before, and how would you be, what's that plan?
I did see some information by, his name is Xing Huan, and he wrote an article about how much water sponge city systems store in their aquifers. I think it is very gradual and it's very small to the amount. It is about 45 milliliters every time he had rainfall. And that is the volume I was given. So by, I think the month at the end of his research was about, I think he had about 462 milliliters. Oh, but to our school. Oh, sorry, I'm just completely sorry. For a plan for measurement of water or what? Of water in the aquifers or, right here?
What's being solved? Whatever issue you have after doing this.
We pitched this idea to our principal yesterday with the whole staff meeting because it is a recurring problem that we all see, and mosquitoes breed there, and that is not good for anybody. So this is our solution while participating.
So this is a plane level, right? The place where the water stores, in front of it is a plane. Everything is a plane. The school is a plane.
It is on plane ground.
Okay, so when water leaches down, how do you store the water in terms of to use it for other purpose?
For other purpose?
Yes.
That's my suggestion was having a piping system leading to water drums as well. However, that is an engineering problem which is very hard to think of, which is why I would have to get help from other outside people. Yeah.
So would you think of using a pump, or you just want it to run?
I feel like a solar powered pump makes more sense into drums, and then you can outsource. You can do whatever you want to do with the water after, because we can grow Elodia and other aquatic water plants.
Any more questions, judges? All right, St. George's College, thank you very much. All right, we're now going to allow the judges to deliberate over the various schools, and the schools which were in the EcoSpark competition this afternoon as finalists are St. George's College, the Queen's School, Charlemont High School, St. Mary Technical High School, St. Hilda's Diocesan High in the Nature-Based Solutions category. The other two schools were Roger Clark High School and Old Harbor High in the Grid Resilience category. We're now going to be heading to the main stage.
And we must say, Sparks.
Judges, you have about 5 minutes to deliberate. I've got to thank the judges again. Nicole Adamson, Reniqua Walker McKnight, Carol Narcisse, Ronaldo Hale, Tony and Gray, and Ramar Taylor.
And when you see what those children have done, Sparks, how you feel? How you feel about the future?
Well done, well done.
Future is secure. They've done well. Give yourselves a round of applause, people. Give yourselves a round of applause. Yeah, man, them do good. And with all of that, we have to thank the sponsors who helped to make this happen. We want to big up once again JPS. JPS in the house. Thank you. We want to big up Charge and Go. Yes. We also want to big up Juicy. We want to big up Saddle Energy, Carib Cement, Restaurants of Jamaica, Tower Farms, and Flash Motors. And I want to big up my president, Hugh. Big up yourself. I see our president in the house. Welcome, welcome. All right, an announcement. All members of the energy clubs, you may go and pick up your packages at the Redemption Center. All members of the energy club, you may go and pick up your packages at the Redemption Center. And I have another exciting announcement to make. This one you're gonna love. Guess what? If you go to the JPS Charge and Go booth in the BYD showroom and take a selfie with the JPS Charge and Go team, the first 10 persons to come back with the picture and the name of one JPS Charge and Go team member wins a Burger King meal voucher valued at $1,000. So go over to the BYD room, take a picture with the team, and come back over and tell us the name of one member of that team, and you can win a Burger King voucher. That not look like it's a movie, Tanya. I'm just troubling you. All right, and you may go and get your test drive. Get a test drive of an EV, and guess what? Anybody in here have money can buy an EV today? Anybody can buy an EV today? You want me to buy it for you? All right, talk to me when we come off of the stage. If you buy a BYD today or this month, you will receive 50% off your bill. Wanna hear how much I say? How much I say? 50%. Conditions apply. Conditions apply. All right, people. It's time for the judges to do their...
The judges are doing the tabulation right now as we speak.
And we will...
Yeah. But we need to bring on the stage right now a representative from the Environmental Foundation of Jamaica to make a presentation on the JU's project. So, coming up, being very eco-friendly, she's using her cell device. All right, introduce yourselves to the crowd.
Hi, afternoon, everyone. My name is Rashini Clark Randall. That's good. Okay, afternoon, everyone. My name is Rashini Clark Randall. I am the nature-based climate solutions specialist for the Jamaica Urban Solutions for the Environment project, which we've been referring to as the JU's project. Center stage or... All right, so this afternoon I'll be making a presentation on nature-based climate solutions made simple. So, designing the future, nature as our ultimate technology. So with all the fancy, complicated sounding terminology, nature-based climate solutions, what are they? I'm going to use a 3-pillar model to summarize the definition. So nature-based climate solutions are deliberate designs that use natural systems to solve human problems. Some of these problems are quite relatable to us, especially those who reside in urban spaces or cities. And some of those issues specifically are climate change and food security. So in nature-based climate solutions design, we take a wholesome approach in that instead of just thinking about it as nature as aesthetic or just planting trees, we're thinking about systems that are able to deliver on services to both the environment and at a societal level. So we're building systems that protect or defend us from floods and storms. They also provide cooling effects in that they're able to lower the temperature of our streets and cityscapes naturally. They're able to feed and provide fresh food where people live. So instead of models where we're trucking food across far distances, we want to have farming, for example, within our cities. So over to the next slide, I'm going to display some examples of nature-based solutions. So we start with the biodiversity corridor, which is basically a pathway for nature to traverse our city. For example, we can have wildlife that utilizes our cityscape without it interacting with high traffic environments where there are vehicles, pedestrians, etc. We also have rain gardens and bioswales. And simply put, these are comparable to our concrete drainage that we know of. And the difference mainly is that they utilize natural elements. So as you can see in the design of it, it works using stones, rocks, vegetation to both hold water and to channel it into appropriate drainage systems. We also have pocket parks, and they're called pocket parks because we're all familiar with what parks are and the importance of green spaces. But in urban environments, we tend to have very dense cityscapes where there are limited green spaces and limited potential to implement green spaces. And so the pocket parks are important because they provide localized cooling effects within the city. And what that simply means is that within the pocket park itself, which is less than a quarter acre, we have these cool zones within the city which help to minimize the urban heat island effect. So therein, we're using nature as a solution to heat. Another set of examples I think we're more familiar with. They are, for example, green walls. And green walls can be unique designs in that they can be made edible. We have green roofs, and in green roof systems, we can have rooftop gardens, which is another type of nature-based climate solutions that's appropriate in the urban environment. So the urban challenge, what is the problem really? So, or thinking of dealing with problems that are faced as development trends change, we're seeing more high-rise, we're seeing more development overall. So we have a great problem. And by that, we've built our cities like concrete boxes. So we've removed nature from our cities. And a part of the thinking, a part of what the JU's project is trying to promote is that we need to bring back nature into where persons are mostly residing, which is within our cities. So asphalt and concrete development, they soak up the sun and they make cities up to 5 degrees Celsius hotter. And they also act as water barriers. So we see last year during the hurricane season, we had Hurricane Melissa, which was quite an example of the impacts of climate change and what that brings along with it. But even in the hurricane season, we see where we have these flash flood events. And during these flash flood events, we see gushing of water onto our hard infrastructure, and that's what we want to limit. And so that takes me to the next slide, where we're looking at a bit of water wisdom, our land, our future. And in theory, we don't want our cities to perform like dinner plates. So, you know, think of a dinner plate. Anything that interacts with it just sits on top of it. We want them to perform like the forest floor, which allows for infiltration to groundwater resources naturally. And so those applications can be, as I mentioned above, bioswales, more permeable surfaces, and the goal here is for water to be captured as a resource to be used, rather than something we're trying to discard and get rid of. Food security, as I mentioned, is one of the main challenges that we're faced with in urban environments. And as city dwellers, we're dependent on rural spaces and the economic activity that occurs within rural spaces, for example, farming, in order to feed us. So after Hurricane Melissa, we saw where there was a scarcity of a lot of products, and we're still facing some of those shortages now. And so we want to create within our cities situations where we have community food forests, vertical green walls with edible plants, and we want to create pollinator havens. So we want to support the bees and their activity. They're essential for us to basically have food and therefore to survive on the planet. Climate resilience is another benefit that we can leverage from the implementation of nature-based climate solutions. So in that we can think natural systems, things that already exist, such as our mangrove forests. And within our cities, we can create environments that mimic nature, in that we can create urban tree canopies. And what these are large-scale tree planting initiatives that are meant to then create cooling corridors. So a lot of us experience when we're traversing the city, we're hot, we're drained, and we find that for many city dwellers, that is one of the main issues that we're being faced with. Every year it gets hotter and hotter, and during the hurricane season, we have more and more flood events. So it's like two sides of the same coin. We're going from one extreme to another, and it's those conditions that we want to regulate by using nature-based climate solutions. So if we were to think of nature as assets, then we can think of the challenges that we're facing and then try to map the challenge that we're facing to appropriate nature-based climate solutions For example, it's very relatable. We're here at the JPS Expo. We have very high electricity bills for cooling. And so we can think to draw down some of those expenses by using green roofs and strategic shading, Where we have street flooding during heavy rain, we can include bioswales and rain gardens. Some of the students have captured their appropriate function in their models. And we have high cost of fresh produce. We're all facing that. So community fruit orchards and edible hedges are some of the solutions that we can think of implementing. What is your role then in the green evolution? First of all, we need to shift the way we think about nature to not being aesthetic or a luxury, to actually being able to provide services that are critical to our survival. And as such, first of all, we need to change our perspective to see nature as a partner and not something we have to deal with, quote unquote. So we can solve the problems that impact us most. Heat, flooding, and high food costs are some of the main ones, using nature as a partner, and also context matters. So a solution in downtown Kingston is not necessarily the same solution that you take up and implement on the hillside in St. Andrew. So we first have to understand what challenges we're facing as a society, and then look at how nature can help us to solve some of these problems. And so the takeaway, nature is no longer a luxury decoration. It is a functional partner for survival. And with that, my presentation ends. Thank you for your attention.
All right, thank you very much.